when you are involved in the foster care system and child welfare, any layer of complexity just can send everyone into a spiral and lead to lots of frustration and ultimately families not receiving what they need. Today, we are going to be talking with Krystal, and she is with the Advocacy Circle through the Kay Altman Law Firm. The Kay Altman Law Firm is a national law firm that really specializes in special education. So they have a new tool that offers some support surrounding IEPs and 504s. You don't want to miss out and learn what you can have access to help you navigate those confusing and difficult situations that oftentimes exist in special education and are compounded by the involvement of the child welfare system. Take a listen. Well, hello, this is Chanel Dupree with Navigating Child Welfare, the podcast. And I am so excited because I have with me today Krystal. And Krystal is with the Advocacy Circle, but she's also with the Kay Altman Law Firm. And so we're going to explain that connection. But just as a quick preview, we're talking about IEPs, we're talking about 504s, and how families who at times are already involved in a very complex system, the foster care system, or just involved in child welfare, need to understand about these tools that can help children and can help families. So, welcome, Krystal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself and talk to me about the Advocacy Circle.
Like you said, I am part of the Advocacy Circle as well as part of Kay Altman Law. On the Kay Altman Law side, I serve in kind of an advisory special education role. I do a lot of our outreach and a lot of our learning materials, our podcast, our webinars, that kind of a thing. And then on the Advocacy Circle side, I am our nuts and bolts gal. So I had a heavy hand in actually bringing the project up from the ground. I did a lot of the research that went into the platform. I maintain the curriculum and update it every month. So I'm really hands-on that side in the development of it.
Okay, and this is like kind of second nature from you because you are a former teacher, educator,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay. So you love this stuff.
I do. I really do.
Okay, so thank you for coming and just thank you for this conversation. Who does the Advocacy Circle help? What does it do?
So, the Advocacy Circle is a two-part platform. It was born from the experience of the advocates and the attorneys at Kay Altman Law, and even some of the experience I had holding some of the consultations of parents who had needs in the special education world and needed some support, needed someone to turn to. So, it really aims to fill the gap between those who need help and need advocacy and the accessibility of advocacy because not all states have advocacy opportunities. Even at our state level disability rights organizations, the type of support that they can provide is, very limited because there are so many people who need help and, not as many people actually working in a lot of these organizations that can offer help. And the Advocacy Circle was intended for parents and it was intended to be a more flexible, more affordable, more accessible option for special education advocacy.
So what does it do? So someone says, okay, I want to do this, but I don't really know how it's going to help me. How will it help them?
So the two-part platform is intended to help in two ways. The one side is the learning curriculum side, and that's where, I got to nerd out a little bit. That's where
Mhm.
my love of curriculum and teaching comes out. And what that is a very foundational, very comprehensive overview of special education principles. So everything from the history of special education, where it started and where we are now, all the way through, what is an IEP, what is a 504, what is a alternative placement. And then up through our higher tiers, we get into more complex information. So we go through medical advocacy and how health can impact education, all the way up to, those legal foundations like due process, what that looks like, what going through it is like for parents, how you prepare for it. So it's intended to, get parents' feet wet and kind of catch them up to anything that maybe their school team knows or anything, that they need to know foundationally in order to kind of orient themselves in the special education space. And then we provide further learning opportunities as well to really dig deep and, get your hands dirty with all of that.
So I'm talking to you from Kansas, but where are you located?
I am in South Carolina currently.
Okay, so state laws are different. So how will the Advocacy Circle kind of speak to me as someone who's in Kansas or someone who's in, Hawaii or someone who's in Washington? So talk to me a little bit about that.
So that's where the other side of our platform comes in. The, piece that corresponds with the curriculum is our AI-driven virtual advocate tool. And that is something that we built in-house. So, it's not like we're just connecting you to ChatGPT or something like that. We built our own model and it is steeped in jurisdictionally aware information. So I personally went through all of the state's Department of Education websites as well as the federal statutes and laws, and I pulled together databases that the tool can pull from. So, for example, if you're in Kansas and you subscribe and you fill out your profile and your child's profile, at some point you would input that you're in Kansas. Our system can pull from any of the information or documentation that you as a user uploads, and it makes you your own little bubble of a database that it can use to inform how it responds. So it would take that you said you're in Kansas in your profile, and it would go over to the Kansas rules and regulations, statutes, laws, implementation manuals, everything that I pulled together in my research. And that's how it knows to give you relevant, jurisdictionally state specific aware information so that you're getting something that's actually useful to you as somebody in Kansas rather than something very vague and general at, maybe a federal level or, a level higher than you're needing.
So this is I don't know the exact term, but it's like it's not open AI. It's like your firm has put all the information into this system, and then the user can put their like specific maybe 504 or IEP plan, whatever that is, into it, and then that's how the system essentially is spitting back information regarding any questions that a user has. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. It's HIPAA compliant, it's FERPA compliant, COPPA compliant. You basically all your information lives in its own little bubble with any state specific information, and that's how it's able to actually respond to your specific questions and your specific child's needs.
What are some of the questions that you find that people are asking? And let me just back up because Kay Altman Law Firm is really like that's what you all do. Like you
Hmm.
specialize in special education. And what I love about your approach is that it's not a hammer,
Hmm.
that it's very much, okay, so let's have, conversations. Let's see if we can collaborate. But then you all will go to court, right, for families as well. And so there's different layers of the advocacy that happens for Kay Altman Law Firm. But what are some of the questions that that you find people are typically asking?
So, for the Advocacy Circle specifically, we actually have a handful of questions that we suggest starting with. We call these kind of like our one-click prompts because on our actual platform, it is one click and it automatically kind of puts that question through the ringer for you. So, some things that we like to suggest is starting with a summary, having it pull any information either from the documents you've uploaded or the profile information or anything like that that's specific to your child and just having it make a concise one-page summary that you can take with you maybe at the beginning of the school year or to the next IEP meeting, things like that. We also suggest generating IEP questions. A lot of times, parents, especially if they've got a meeting coming up next week and they don't really understand what's been discussed or what to ask. They just want some direction, right? What am I supposed to ask in this meeting? So
Mhm.
we have a one-click prompt to generate questions. We have one to generate a vision statement. We find that this is super helpful because parents at some level know what they want for their child. They just might have a hard time actually verbalizing, what that looks like in terms of goals and programming and support. So generating a vision statement can be super helpful for that long-term planning. And then those immediate requests that you might need to make if you do have something coming up, requesting an evaluation, requesting a meeting, requesting some sort of data that you need to support something. Those quick and easy kind of one-click prompts gets parents started. And then based on the response that they get, it's often very natural to dig in and say, okay, you recommended these questions. Well, why? What is
Mhm.
this question going to help me with? Or what is a response I can expect from that question? Or if I get this response from that question, what should I say next? And then parents are able to kind of take it from there to make sure that they're actually, getting what they need for their upcoming meeting or email or anything like that.
Yeah, because sometimes the hardest part is just getting started, like not knowing
Definitely.
exactly what questions to ask, what I can request on behalf of my child. So that leads me to my next question of, so is the advocacy circle, is it for parents who and again, we're talking about, of course, the family and child welfare system. So it could be a parent, it could be a foster parent, it could be a caseworker, right? Who's
Mhm.
like, this isn't my world, but I have children on my, that I'm working with, and I want to understand this better. Is it for parents or caregivers who there is an IEP and a 504 plan currently in place? Or what about those folks who are like, I think my child needs one, but I'm not really sure where to start?
I definitely think that the advocacy circle is for everyone. That actually is kind of where the name and the concept came from because special education is such an involved community and people need a circle of support around them. So whether or not you actually have an IEP yet or eligibility yet, if you do, it can help you, analyze that document, run through it, give suggestions. If you don't have one yet, or if you're not sure if your child needs one, you can still upload information about, what you think they struggle with or what you've been noticing. And it can help you kind of make that determination and make those requests for evaluation and eligibility and everything like that. And even for, our caseworkers, our related service providers, just our individuals that are associated, it can definitely help you get a better understanding, especially if you don't already have that foundational knowledge. I know a lot of people, even that work in the special education community, like a speech language pathologist or an occupational therapist, they have some understanding
Mhm.
of these things, obviously, because they work with this population, but they might not have that same understanding that the special education teacher or a parent who's been in it for 10 years already that they might have. And it can help bridge that gap between knowing a little bit more support is needed or having some of these questions and actually finding the resources and the answers to be able to move forward.
That's so good. So let me ask you, is it like at what level is the information shared? Because I'm actually thinking, what would it look like for a youth who has an IEP or 504 plan? Like, where do they get their information? Are they able to ask questions if they have, maybe their family has a subscription or something like that? Like, who is this tailored towards?
We try to make it as accessible as possible. So that's actually something that we kept in mind as we were creating the content and writing the lessons is that if this is really going to be for everybody, we need to demystify special education and the language that we use around it. And we have to keep in mind too that this is supposed to be a collaborative effort. This information is meant to empower families to then be able to make changes. So we're very aware of, using language that is accessible, breaking concepts down into small pieces. And this is also where, part of my training as a teacher comes in is I'm just a little bit wired to do it that way anyway. But, making sure that it is written in a way that anybody can understand and that it's written in a way that supports, community and communication, not alienating the school or provoking hostility in your next meeting. It's very much these are the facts. This is what we think you need to know. Here are some tips that we have for you. But otherwise, it is just It's just information. We try to be as objective as possible.
For sure, for sure. How does someone get started and what is the cost?
I love that question personally. Um, so to get started, you can visit our website. It's theadvocacycircle.com. We have three different tiers, and anywhere on the website that it says subscribe or start now, of course, that'll redirect you to where you need to be. But we have three tiers. Each of the tiers has full access to the AI tool as well as access to the learning curriculum. Our first tier is called Advocacy 101 because it is very much your basic, straightforward, down to the point curriculum. That is $50 a month. There is a slight discount at every tier if you choose to bill yearly rather than monthly. And then our second tier is the Advocacy Academy. The difference between Advocacy 101 and the Advocacy Academy is that expanded curriculum. So while everything that's in tier one is in tier two then continues on with that learning. And like I said earlier, it really takes it to a more practical, applicable level with more complex information and more direct advocacy support rather than just providing the information just flat. And then the third tier is our Kay Altman Club. That is our very community-oriented tier. That tier has the most opportunities to engage with the advocates at Kay Altman Law or our subject matter experts that we partner with and attend live events, submit questions for Q&As, things like that. And then it also, again, has everything in tier one and tier two, just with that added complexity and higher thinking, more, you know, niche topics in the learning curriculum, and that is $200 a month.
Okay, so this is the individual pricing. What if there's an organization? So I'm just thinking about my world, and I work with many just, like child welfare, family serving organizations. And at times they want to provide something to their families. Is there a model or guide for that? Like if an organization wants to subscribe and provide access to its families?
Yeah, and that's something that we handle kind of on a case by case basis because we
Okay.
do understand that, an organization that you might work with in the child welfare space is going to have different needs and different goals than perhaps like a CPAC that wants to provide it to families within a school system. So if that's something that anyone is interested, they can definitely reach out. We have had so many calls like this already where we've sat down and talked with organizations and companies about how we can provide it to their populations, especially some more vulnerable populations that, even the price point that we're at may be inaccessible for. So we would love to have a conversation about how we can work with groups and put together something that makes it even more accessible. That's always the goal.
Yeah,
That's the heart behind the advocacy circle is finding a way.
for sure, for sure. Anything else about how someone gets started? It sounds like there's a really easy kind of entry point for someone to just log onto your website, which of course the website will be linked in the show notes. And is the program happening now? Does it have a launch date? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we launched in January, so we're still very young. But if you head to our website right now, you could sign up in just a couple of minutes. It's live, it's ready. It's just like any other online checkout process once you get going. And then it'll redirect you to the actual platform and you can get started right away, uploading documents, analyzing them, chatting with the virtual advocate. It's all ready to go and just waiting to help.
Okay. Anything else you want to add or share for folks who are maybe nervous, a little intimidated by this process? What advice or insights would you give to them?
My biggest advice is, you've always got to start somewhere. And it's never too late to start. And I know there are so many platforms, there are so many resources, there's so much information out there, and it can be overwhelming and it can become, almost a little paralyzing, the volume of information that we have access to know where to start. So my biggest advice is to just pick a direction, start in it, and you'll learn very quickly if that's not the direction you need to be going in, if it's not helpful. But you don't know until you try, and you don't know what you don't know. So there's no harm in trying and failing. Special education is very much a trial and error kind of process because every child is unique and every case is, very dependent upon the outside influences. So, it's not something that you have to get right the very first time. There's no magic wand, there's no perfect solution, there's no one and done in any of this. So just getting started and trying your best to find a path forward is all you can really do when you get started.
I love that. It reminds me of something that I say all the time. Course correct as you go. Like you have to
Yep.
start and it won't be perfect, but you course correct as you go. And how important that is, how vital that is for our children's education and making sure that they have what they need in order to thrive. So thank you, Krystal, for coming on and talking to us about the Advocacy Circle. It's going to be a great asset to our larger community. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really hope it'll be able to help.
We aim to quickly clarify the family and child welfare system, and special education is a part of our ecosystem. But too often, when we experience the complexities of these subsystems, we don't know who to ask questions to, or we think that our questions are silly or don't matter, or that we should know this. Please don't feel that way. This is new to you and your family, and whether you're involved in the foster care system or not, special education has its own nuances and it's its own system. So why not tap in and get some additional support? I appreciate Krystal with the Advocacy Circle and Kay Altman Law Firm for coming on and sharing this new tool, this resource that they have. I will be linking it in the show notes, and I do hope that you would check it out and see if it will help you and your family.